Welcome everybody. We are now at week 4 of Hello Sunshine Knit Along. It's been a great summer project, and wow, the sun just came out as soon as I sat down. We've had quite a stormy night in Muskoka. Just want to say hello to all our new Sunshine Seekers. We've had a few that have just signed up last week and this week, and it's never too late to join in the fun because all the tips and tutorials are online for as long as Facebook allows us to keep them there. It's like having your own personal library of techniques. Anytime you want to resource them, just look in our event section on Muskoka Yarn Connection Facebook page and look for Hello Sunshine KAL and go to the discussion tab, and you'll see everything posted there, as well as some of the pretty versions of the shawl. People are working along their sun rays. Some are halfway done, some are still maybe in the first 2 or 3 sun rays. It all looks great. Can't wait to see all the different color combos, as I'm sure you're waiting to see too. And a special welcome to Cheryl, who is joining us in the knit along all the way from Catherine, Australia, which is in the Northern Territory, and she's just heading into her spring season, so this is a great time to be starting something with fun, happy colors. We're just heading into our shawl season, so we'll be wearing our shawls more than ever over the coming weeks, maybe even this weekend. It's been pretty cool today. Yeah, so, and I have to apologize to some of the Sunshine Seekers in certain areas of the United States who still have not received their package. And I have checked into tracking, and it has cleared customs. It is just being held up somewhere along the way, and that just seems to be an issue that we're going through this year, and it does require a lot of patience, and it will be worth it in the end if you can just be patient a little bit longer. Don't feel that you are late to the party, that you're starting late, because really something as beautiful as this you can start anytime. As long as you have your yarn, your pattern, you'll have your needles at home hopefully, and you'll have all the tips, like I said, at your disposal. So please be patient. So this is our 4th week, and there really isn't a lot more to cover in terms of techniques. I thought today would be a good opportunity to show you the way that I weave in the ends, because you do collect a lot of ends every time you're changing colors at the midway points or peaks, whatever it looks like to you, a point or a peak. So probably you're just tying the ends loosely together, which reinforces so the stitches don't slide off the needle accidentally due to the bouncy nature of the yarn, and you're just waiting with all your ends to finish them before you block it. So we'll go over that today. I'll go over the blocking again today, and if there's any questions that you have that I can catch in the comments, please feel free to ask. Hi Cindy from Arnprior. How's the weather in your neck of the woods? Is the sun shining? And does anyone have any progress reports that they want to tell us about in their work? I noticed a post in the discussion section from one of our Sunshine Seekers. She had just purchased her yarn last week and started, and she's already into her 2nd or 3rd set of sun rays. Oh, I have to get a parcel at the door. I'll be right back.
There you go. Have a good weekend,
You
eh?
too.
Yeah.
Well, that just proves if I wait late enough in the day, a delivery will show up. Okay, yeah, so we did have some late starters, and they are catching up very quickly. And then again today at the end of our live video, we will have a trivia question, and the lucky winner will have one more ballot in the grand prize draw. So the grand prize draw will be live right here next week, same time. And what you are all vying for, Sunshine Seekers, are the 2 gift baskets on my right, your left, that are neatly packaged up. So we do have the 2 gift baskets this time as a prize for our knit along, because there are 2 sponsors to the event, Muskoka Yarn Connection and our wonderful supplier Estelle Yarns in Toronto, Ontario. So double the win, that's more for you. And we will have the draw live, so bring all your luck next week. So the ballot box is filling up with more ballots. I'll make sure I give it a good shake next Friday at 2:30. And we've also restocked this week with the dark gray again. So we were missing the light gray and the dark gray because a lot of you had picked those for your color combo packages, but now we have both in stock again. We are getting very low on the aqua. Unfortunately, I think we're down to maybe 2 skeins, but there's still some gorgeous combos to be had. And talking a little bit about the blocking, which will be your final step, as always. When you're knitting any garment, blocking is a very important step that you really don't want to overlook. So I can't say enough good things about the Eucalan wool wash, made right here in Canada. And it is a no-rinse solution, which does sound a little bit strange when you're washing hand knits, but it really does work. So you can either use it for machine washing delicates on the delicate cycle, or you can use it for hand washing. But it is also very, very good for blocking this particular shawl, because it lets the fibers relax and bloom into their natural stitch formation. It also achieves the length that you need for this particular project, because as you're knitting it, as I felt that this section was really, really short. I would say probably this length before I blocked it, and I was getting a little bit worried, and I thought, wow, is that going to be a micro mini shawl or a full-size shawl? But once it was blocked, it came out to its natural length and width, which is a really, really good size. So basically what I did with the blocking, hope it stays there, is I just took a capful of the liquid Eucalan. There are different fragrances. This one happens to be unscented for anyone who has fragrance sensitivity. And there's a lavender, there's a grapefruit, jasmine, and then the original one, which is eucalyptus fragrance. So I took a capful of the liquid, I put it in just a large basin, bigger than a salad bowl, and a little bit of room temperature water, enough to cover the entire shawl, and then I kind of jostled it about, shook it up with my hands to get some suds action, and then I submerged the whole shawl and I squeezed in the suds. You got to get the suds to kind of push themselves through the actual garment that you're trying to block, and then let it stay in the basin for 20 minutes. Sometimes I've forgotten, I've left things for a couple of hours, so nothing bad will happen, but minimum 20 minutes is a good rule of thumb. And then just come back and try to squeeze out as much moisture as you can with your own 2 hands, and then take it out of the basin, place it in a nice large bath towel size, roll up the towel around the shawl, log style, and try to squeeze the towel as much as possible because that will absorb a lot more moisture. And if you still feel, if your hand strength is not the best, which I feel, I would put it on the ground and I would stomp on it, just like you're stomping grapes, and then that will help to soak out all the moisture that you can. Then you take the shawl out, you put it onto a dry towel and form it to the shape, the semicircular shape, the natural shape that the shawl wants to be. And be focused on each of the sun ray points. You want those to really be pulled into shape. If you are a fan of the blocking pins, the Knitter's Pride rainbow blocking pins, they're a great asset to forming the points for the blocking. But I found with this particular yarn it really doesn't need heavy blocking. It just naturally will fall into shape, and having that gorgeous slip stitch edging that the designer was very careful to include in her instructions makes it keep the edges from curling up. So it's an easy peasy blocking process. And then basically you'll leave it overnight. I turn the shawl once or twice so that the air can get to both sides. I take out my damp towel, which will be damp after a few hours, and I replace it with another dry towel. That helps as well. And if you can get it outdoors with a little bit of natural air circulation, it will even dry quicker. But on a regular weather day that's not too humid, you should be able to dry it in about 16 hours, and then it's ready to wear. So first let's go over the sewing in of ends, and I'm using my favorite clover darning needle. I'll bring it closer to the camera because it has a bent tip. The bent tip, it's blunt, easy to thread, and it's really the best in the business for sewing in ends and sewing up seams. So I'm going to bring Miss Sunshine over so you can see a little bit closer what I'm showing you. So basically I have sewn in all my ends. I'm going to show you the wrong side as an example. So what you're looking at is along here. So there I've changed the colors from the aqua to the yellow. So I have a yellow end and an aqua end that I had to finish. And as long as you're weaving into its own color, then it's not going to show on the right side. We're also trying to follow the natural stitch definition. So it does look like a wave because it is garter stitch. Okay, and I leave a little bit. I don't put any knots in the ends. I just leave a little extra because I know when it's blocked, after my ends are sewn in, it's really going to pop out. So a little bit extra doesn't hurt. It just creates a tiny little fringe on the inside. Nobody will really see that. And again, down at the little peaks where you did your short rows and your turning, I've sewn in the orange sun-kissed color here. The only way you really don't want to sew in your ends is to go up and down. The reason we don't go up and down in knitting garments is because of the natural stretch. So you can see if I were to sew in an upwards fashion, with that much stretch, all the ends would just pop out and look very messy, and they wouldn't have as much hold or grip. Okay, so for practice, I'm going to use a strand of the orange and sew it into an opposite color. That way it's a little more visual for you. So I'm going to pick a spot where I have the yellow meeting the turquoise. And that should be nice and bright. It always takes a few seconds for the camera to adjust. So I'm starting under the turquoise, and I'm going over the yellow stitch and down through the turquoise. So I'm following the formation of the stitch, which looks like an upside down horseshoe. And then I'm going up in the next turquoise, and I'm not pulling overly tight. And then I'm going down in the next turquoise. It really resembles weaving. So I'm letting my sewn-in stitches relax to about the size of the knit stitches. And I'm going to do that for about 1.5 inches, or you can keep going to about 2 inches. This is pretty good if I can do it without my glasses on. Okay, so we'll pretend that's 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So, of course, you can see the color showing because I want you to see the color showing. But at this point, you'd be sewing in with the yellow or the turquoise, and it would be blending right in. Now, at that point, I double back, so I come back in the opposite stitches. This time, I'm picking up the yellow ones. Remember, the first time across, I was picking up the turquoise. Now I'm going in the wave pattern, picking up just the yellow. Okay, and then I would just snip it with about 1/8 of an inch to spare, and generally I pull it to test to make sure it's not too tight. And then it's very secure, and I feel very safe wearing it and also washing it. So again, no knots. Knots are really not a good thing in the knitting world because although you may think that the knot is not visible to the right side of your work, once it's washed and worn a bit, the stitches can shift a little bit to the right or the left, and then the knot can pop through to the right side and it will look very unpleasant, and also knots can come undone during washing, especially with superwash merino because it has a very soft handle and it relaxes. Just what we need, very relaxed knitting. Okay, so I think we are ready for our trivia question today. I don't think we've had any questions about any of the elements in the pattern. So that's a good sign. That means that you are feeling very comfortable with your knitting. I know a lot of you have had to rip out, 5 or 6 times, and you feel that that's not normal because usually when you're knitting something, maybe you rip out once or twice. But it is a learning process, and it's also teaching you to really focus on the key elements in the design. So you're looking for what I call landmarks. Just like when you're driving a car and you feel like you're getting lost and you have to retrace your steps. You start to recognize certain landmarks and they help you find your way to your destination. So knitting is very much the same. So be patient, it'll all be worth it. Okay, so we want the first correct answer for the name of the song and the name of the performer or singer who sings the song. These are all very, very popular songs, and of course you know they do have the word sunshine in the title. So I will read the lyrics, and then whoever comments first will win one more ballot in our grand prize draw. If I had a day that I could give you, I'd give to you the day just like today. If I had a song that I could sing for you, I'd sing a song to make you feel this way. So we want the first correct answer for the title of the song and the performer or singer. And that should be coming up in the comments pretty soon. Last week we had, oh my gosh, 3 or 4 that were just seconds apart. It was very hard to pick the original winner. Oh yeah, so Sandy has a good point here. If you are ever entering your knitted item in a fall fair, they do take off points for knots. Yes. I don't know if there are any fall fairs happening in your area this year. I know that ours in Bracebridge has been canceled, and I have heard of some fall fairs going ahead with an online juried type of arts and crafts exhibit. So you may want to look into that, because this would be a stunning piece if you get it finished in time to enter into a fall fair. Sorry, Kathy, that is not quite correct. Oh, Donna, yay Donna. You got it. Okay, Donna is the winner of our trivia question today, so she gets an extra ballot in the draw as her incentive ballot. And does anyone know the year that this song first came out? Just for bragging points. Yes, we did have a knitter, I think it was about 3 years ago, and she was putting something in the fall fair that she had knit, a beautiful sweater, very intricate, beautiful tension. And unfortunately, because it was a rush job, she was trying to get it done, you know, the night before it had to go into the fall fair, she forgot to sew in all her ends. And she was disqualified by the judge because she hadn't sewn in her ends. So it's a very important thing to remember to do. Take the time to do good finishing, sew in your ends very neatly, and you'll just be happier in the long run. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching, and hope you're all doing well on your progress. So I will see you next week, same time, same place, for the live draw. And then we'll hear lots of crinkle, crinkle. Have a great weekend.